This just in. Breaking news. Our top story tonight. Jason Mercier drops a bombshell on 2+2 with some serious cheating allegations. Daniel Negreanu busted for copyright infringement and blocked by Pokerstars. Bill Perkins and Dan Bilzerian caught red-handed on Twitch. ACR bans them live. And finally tonight, famous YouTuber Dan Polk wins American Poker Award for Best Podcast. All this and more tonight on Doug Polk's show about news in the world of poker. Let's kick it off with our top story here. Jason Mercier with some serious cheating allegations on the 2+2 forums. Now, I briefly want to explain the way open-faced Chinese works, and admittingly, I'm not an expert. I've only played a couple of times, so I'm going to give you a simple rundown. Open-faced Chinese started out about 4 or 5 years ago to become more popular, maybe about 6 years ago, but something in that vicinity. And the way that originally would work, you'd be dealt 13 cards, and you'd set them into 3 different hands. A high hand, middle hand, and low hand. The thing is, it had to be stronger as you got towards the low hand, and there was points and rules and all this kind of stuff that applies. But basically, the point is, the stronger you could make each hand, the more points you'd get by beating your opponent, and each point represented a dollar value. Well, this game was pretty easy to solve by computers, so a new variant popped up a few years ago called Pineapple, and the way that would work is you'd be dealt 3 cards, and you could use 2 to put into your hands and discard the 3rd. You would do that until you'd made all 3 hands, but it made the game a bit different because down the stretch you'd have to make some serious decisions on where certain cards should be placed, keeping in mind the bottom hand has to be strongest and the middle hand has to be second. Now, I'm not sure about the exact rules and terminology and all of the points and everything, and maybe I made a mistake in that analysis, but that's basically the way the game is played. Here's where the game starts to get a little bit sketchy. All of the high-stakes action, if it's not done at a live casino, is done on this app that I believe is called Pineapple. Now, it keeps track of the points when 2 players play, and then people settle up afterwards on their own. So there's an obvious problem of, unless both players have escrowed, which pretty much never happens, people can run up pretty big balances and then not be able to pay or not want to pay or whatever. Now, some people on the app have done extremely well, and that's opened up some questions. Are these people cheating? Is what they're doing legit? Do they have some kind of program that's playing for them? All of these types of problems. And the thing about it is you don't really know because you don't know who made the software. You don't know, what the other player's doing. You don't know what they've solved or if they have any computer assistance. And so there's a lot of problems, basically tons of problems in terms of getting paid and how good your action really is. Now let's take that knowledge and apply it to what's actually happening here in the news. There's a new thread in NVG by a poster called Relax Your Soul, who posts the title, Jason Mercier Spreads Unfounded Cheating Allegations. And he basically goes on to say that he played against Natasha, who is Jason's wife, as well as a bunch of other players, and that Jason has been spreading rumors about him cheating on the app. Now, there's a bit of a problem with what his point here is in his post, which is if someone plays you or someone has a friend that plays you and they have reason to believe that, you're either cheating or using a bot or whatever, then they are allowed to express that opinion. You're more than welcome to say, I think, or in my opinion, or it appears to be, and then give your evidence or explain why you think that. And that's just the way the world is. You can't basically protect yourself from someone saying that you might be cheating because at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the people that listen to them to decide whether that's true or not. And that's why when you say, I think, or in my opinion, you get a lot of leeway. And if you want to make sure in just like the media in general, you're going to be safe, you should almost always lead with those things, in my opinion. Now, the story goes on that apparently the OP of that thread had also played live against Natasha, and when he did play live, he had not really much of a clue what was going on, which obviously looks suspicious when you're playing anyone in the world online and offering kickbacks to players if they get you action. At one point, apparently, he actually asked Natasha to get him Jason Mercier action, and if she did, he'd give her a kickback. I mean, I don't know what he's thinking about the way the world works there, but that's apparently something that happened. Also, another name that got thrown into the mix here was Jacqueline Moscow, who has gone from playing small stakes open face to playing pretty much anyone, or maybe almost anyone, at quite high stakes. So both of their names, the original poster Fernando and Jacqueline Moscow, are now allegedly having rumors spread about them that they are either cheating or have a bot or whatever. At this point, Jason Mercier himself steps in and says that he thinks the original poster of the thread is not using a bot to play, but rather is straight up cheating somehow through the app. And he makes quotes like, "No one beats you on the app, you can't win live, Natasha told me you made massive mistakes live, you're begging everyone for action on the app," as well as a few other different things about what had happened. And so overall, it does seem to be a little suspicious as to why this player would be so bad playing live poker, but then really good on this app and asking anyone for action. There are a couple other notably funny things from that thread, like JMO coming in under the screen name "Don't Ban Me Please" and saying that it's funny this story is coming out because currently Jason Mercier is owed 7 figures from someone in open-faced Chinese and is having problems collecting. And then also Jacqueline Moscow comes in to defend her side of the story and say that she moved up in stakes slowly and does talk a lot with Fernando about how to play open-faced Chinese. And I guess what I would say to you guys is, be careful with playing on third-party apps that you don't know who made it. Be careful with running up debts that aren't escrowed. This is all stuff that really can cause problems. Additionally, the botting, I would generally recommend to you to stay away from it. I don't think it's really poker in the sense of what poker is. Sure, it's gambling, but it's more of a puzzle game. You pick where the cards go, and you're basically trying to most accurately complete a puzzle given cards rather than betting on each street with action. And I think the most important difference is just the fact that the money has to be put up to play poker to begin with, but there's no pineapple sites where you actually deposit and play. So be careful, play games where you're going to get paid, and stay away from shady third-party sites or opponents that really seem to want your action. Our next story is Daniel Negreanu on YouTube getting his content blocked in the UK due to copyright grounds. Now, for those of you that are not familiar, a couple of weeks ago, Daniel Negreanu made this tweet, and it said, in reference to, doing Poker Hands episodes, "No, people have done them, but what they are doing isn't legal without consent from the content owners." And clearly this was a shot at, really me, maybe the poker guys, maybe a couple other people doing, PLO Poker Hands like Joe Ingram 1, to which I responded, "Let me know which people are doing this so I can report it to the appropriate authorities." So when I then saw yesterday this video come up as blocked in the UK but on copyright grounds from Pokerstars, it did seem to be a little funny to me. Now, I want to talk briefly about the way this content works on YouTube. When people have content that they want to protect, they can put it into YouTube's content ID system. When they do that, they get 2 options. They can either choose to block anyone from posting the content, or they can choose to allow the content but to get all of the money from the ads. In general, people tend to lean towards just monetizing it for a few reasons. And I guess the 2 biggest reasons would be, first off, you get the money anyway, so why are you upset? And then second off, the exposure, if you're getting paid the revenue from the content, you get both exposure and money, kind of a win-win. Now, if you are really worried about protecting your content, you can do so by just banning anyone that tries to post that content that is your content. Now, here's the thing. I think that there's actually a reasonable argument to be made for fair use. These hands have all happened publicly. They've all been dissected, or rather, they've all been seen by tons of people. So taking one and showing it and analyzing how people should have played while in the hand is actually a new type of content. It's adding an analysis, a summary, a new way that the content is, consumed to where it's actually falling under fair use. Now, it's a little more gray if that's true or not. Fair use in general tends to be pretty easy to fall under for a lot of different types of content. I'm inclined to believe this also falls under that, but I haven't even tried to go that route yet. In general, I've just allowed these, different companies to monetize the content if they do have it in the content ID system. Generally speaking, I try to stay away from Pokerstars content for the obvious, not promoting it, but then also because they very aggressively block this content. and I guess I'm just a little disappointed that people are doing this. Next up, I want to give a quick shout out to the Las Vegas Moneymakers. I'm not sure if you guys remember this, but there's a video I am extremely proud of called The Most Earth-Shattering Event Ever, and it's about the GPL. At which, in the conclusion of the video, we decide that we live in a post-fact world, and in fact, any team we want could win the GPL, and I chose the Las Vegas Moneymakers. We did a little collage, we played some music, it was good. Now, for the American Poker Awards, the Las Vegas Moneymakers tweeted out during the ceremony a congratulations to Dan on winning the podcast of the year. Obviously, I was not nominated for the podcast, but I did win it according to Las Vegas Moneymakers, fighting a little fire with fire with a nice little Photoshop. And what's especially funny to me about this is that a lot of people actually, I think, fell for it and thought that I somehow won a podcast award. I've never done a podcast, so I don't know what exactly happened there, but I am happy to see that the Las Vegas Moneymakers are getting in there for some trolling with the hashtag LOLGPL. Our final story here tonight is Dan Bilzerian and Bill Perkins getting kicked off of ACR on a live stream, and let's just open up with the clip of what happened.
The account has been disabled by administration. Fucker.
What? The what?
They fucking kicked us out.
Oh, you got booted finally? But this account, you got booted off. Yeah, we got booted.
Now, we did talk about this a little bit before on my most popular video ever, The Truth About Dan Bilzerian's Poker Ability. Bill Perkins and Dan Bilzerian had just been jumping back and forth on the same account a bunch. Bill Perkins would stream on the account sometimes, Dan Bilzerian would hop on sometimes, and just multi-accounting for the lulz on their yacht, or on Bill Perkins' yacht. And apparently, ACR does care. We didn't think they did because they just seemed to be allowing it, but finally support or security stepped in and banned the account. And what I have to say is, good on ACR. People shouldn't be above the rules of where they're playing. Even though it's probably really good promotion for them, at the same time, if you don't enforce those rules on people that are giving you this promotion and rich people, then also enforcing it on other people is pretty unfair. So you have to have uniform policy across the board, no matter who you are. It is pretty funny that it happened to Dan Bilzerian while live streaming. I don't know how large the list of people that have gotten banned for multi-accounting while live streaming is. It's probably just one person, but I am glad to see ACR step in. Also, what the fuck were you guys thinking? I know you don't care about the account, but you're going against the terms of service live on Twitch. Thousands of people are watching you. What was the chance you thought this was just gonna sneak its way through? At some point, they're gonna look bad if they don't do something about it. And even though there is an argument to be made that, okay, let fish do what they want, I think that it's important to uphold the integrity of the site by making sure that everyone adheres to the same set of rules. Thank you for joining me here for the news today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for Big Ass Pot Monday. And as always, make sure to hit that sub button and join the Empire.